I want to get great at something. I want to be great at something. I need to pick something. So I knew it was pretty easy for me personally to say, I am not going to school. I am done with that.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Tuesday Morning Coffee. This week's episode is with my buddy Mark Mayr. And Mark and I met a few years ago. We were both working at Vaynermedia, and I was just instantly blown away with this dude's ability to storytell and edit. I mean, he's just all around a really, really strong creative. And so I was super pumped for us to sit down and chat this week. Mark now works out of a production house in Los Angeles called Boy in the Castle, and this man's hands have graced some of the biggest music videos, I'm going to say, of all time. He would probably argue with me there, but I think it's really true. We talked a lot about creative process, his early upbringing, and he gave me sort of an inside look as to what it's like editing a music video for Justin Bieber. Whether you are an editor, a creative, or just interested in what it's like to exist and work in major A-list productions, this episode has got a ton packed into it. And now it is time for Tuesday Morning Coffee with Mark Mayr. Well, Mark, thank you for jumping on the podcast. I'm really, really stoked to have you here, and stoked for a handful of reasons. One, like, you and I had an opportunity to work together in the past, and we haven't had an opportunity to like chop it up in a while, so I'm excited on that end. But also, you know, historically in these episodes, I always try and keep things pretty airy, like more like the inspirational route and high-level conversations and stuff like that. But you are such an absolute savage of an editor that I really want us to like dive in deep on this episode into the nitty and gritty of content creation and editing and making stuff at a high level, like yourself.
Got it. Awesome, bro. I mean, I'll help yin and yang some airiness back into the situation, because while there's plenty of work to be done, a lot of it gets done by by having that, you know, that woo balance, if you will. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to diving into this.
Absolutely. Well, give me a little bit of your background. I mean, I know like you moved from the East Coast to the West, like myself. I'm on the West Coast now too, and so I would love to hear just kind of a little bit of how you found yourself in this content creation world. Give me a little bit of the story of the origin story and how you've gotten to where you are right now.
For me personally, it was definitely one of those situations to where I just was really lucky to start at a very young age. So I remember, for instance, when I was around perhaps 6 or 7, I get this cereal box game from an aunt or something, and it's called My First Movie Maker, and it was a Spider-Man edition. So I popped this into like a old Windows, you know, when you used to have like the home computer in the living room that everyone shared, Windows 97. You know, I would pop this thing in there and start piecing together these moments. It was like you take all these comic book environments and sound effects and pop up words and characters, and you could animate them through the situation and create scenes and dialogue and all kinds of stuff. So at a super young age, and a very, very much so for pure play, started diving into putting things together and, you know, creating worlds and showing people. So I remember I would try to make something, and I would have this feeling like, yo, I'm about to show like my mom and my dad and like my sisters like this thing I just made. And so it was like the initial seed of that process kind of being planted at a really young age. So, you know, I say that to say, if you know, if you're in this industry, it's great to those little toys for kids, or little introductory games, are like literally the foundation for me personally on a big way. So they come in handy. If you got kids, throw them a My First Movie Maker game. But but yeah, dude, other than that, like I had a grandpa that was always filming home movies. So like Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, someone's walking around with a camera. Hey, like, you know, talk to the camera. Everyone's shying away or playing around. And then we'd go back and watch these home movies, and I'd see people that have passed away, or maybe I never met, or I get to see my mom as like a little girl, or I get to see like me when I was a baby. And like just watching home movies really was such a magical, intimate part of life for me. It was so meaningful for me to like watch our family history through this medium. And so I was around 7 when my parents bought a camera and for our own home movie camera. So now it's not just when we're at grandma and grandpa's. Like we have a Sony now. It's recording on high 8. My dad, I remember like it was yesterday. He's like, "Don't touch this. Don't touch the screen. This is a very sensitive,
Yeah.
expensive piece of equipment." And that same day, I'm like running around with it, like filming everything, making skits in the backyard, learning how to edit by just like starting to record and then stopping and then picking it back, kind of like how we do TikTok now. Even to the point I used to tape a MP3 player to the Sony, press play and record at the same time, stop and pause at the same time, and then like to keep it would be so shitty. You could hear the
Wow.
you could hear the skips and stuff, but that was my attempt of trying to like keep the audio synced up. So yeah, bro, I basically started learning the principle, and I mention all this. This is obviously not professional experience or anything, but like this was for me personally my actual introduction to this stuff. I was very young. It was purely from a place of play and fun, and I enjoyed it. So I continued doing that, dude. Middle school, I'm making skits. I started a YouTube channel with my best friend. We're making stupid, really dumb skits, but just having a blast doing it. And making skate videos, dude, and just having so much fun with it. And about the time high school comes, it's like, you're starting to man up. It's like, I got to make money. I got to like take care of myself eventually. Like, how am I going to do this? And I realized people will pay you to do this thing that I love to do. They'll pay you to make videos and take photos and do graphic design and edit and all this stuff. And so, for me, that was a beautiful thing. So I got on Craigslist and started making posts like, hey, I'll edit, I'll graphic design, I'll take a photo, I'll do anything. Like, just hire me. I'll do anything, literally. And so, and that got the ball rolling. And there's clients to this day that I still work with that I met from that exact Craigslist post. So yeah, man, very humble beginnings, but the whole point for me is like, for me personally, it's been very much just an experience of continuing to allow it to be a hobby and allow it to be something that I just genuinely love to do. It should feel like play. It should feel like it should be fun. You know what I'm saying? You should enjoy doing this. And then it just so happens that it's actually useful because other people just don't know how to do it. And you're actually helping people create their visions. You're actually helping people have a story to enjoy or to be captivated in, or a music video to forget about everything that's going on and fall into this world someone else has created for 3 minutes. You realize it has value outside of your own intrinsic personal value. It has world value. So, that's kind of how I personally, those are the very beginning roots of like my interest in all of this stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. Dude, like as you were explaining your dad not wanting you to like touch the camera, do something like that, I was having flashbacks because I'm pretty sure my father and I had the exact same conversation. Yeah. I remember one time like he'd actually let me take the camera into the backyard, and I like filmed a little skit with my friends, and then we took it in, and this is back like before there was just like importing footage, so you had to play the footage back and you had to record it back into the computer. Yeah. And I remember he was so mad at me when he was watching this footage play into the computer because I was being way too rough with the camera. Yeah. He was like, "You can't make this. Just like put the camera away." Just shut me down immediately. It's so funny. And it's actually my dad and I have kind of reconnected over it recently because my dad has like started to get into photography. He's like gotten a camera. He's like shooting around and stuff. And nice. It's the same way. And I guess that's just like the generational thing, but he's so precious with his camera and like every little thing is just like perfect and pristine on it. Yeah. And I'm the most brutal. Like I bought an R5 and literally my first day out dropped it in the middle of the shoot. It's got a huge crack in the side of it now. Oh, man. And just as it happened, I was like, yo, my dad would be losing his mind right now if he saw me treating this camera this way. So that's funny to hear. But that sounds awesome. And I think in, our stories kind of overlap in that way. Did you ever pursue a more like formal route of education, or has this been just like school of hard knocks, just learning kind of on the job your whole life?
It's been mostly learning on the job. I will say that when I was in high school, I was really lucky. I went to like a communication school. They had this program where they would send us to the town's community college a little early there in Fayetteville. And so in high school, I got to hop on a bus, and instead of going to a third and fourth period, I would be taken to community college where I did a graphic design and advertising certification. So a part of those courses, like the whole first half was like physical drawing and stuff, had a blast. That was super fun. But the whole second half was essentially um, learning InDesign and Photoshop, and all of these other Adobe programs. I was already into After Effects and Premiere at the time, so I was able to kind of jump into it and learn it quickly. But it forced me to learn those programs that I may not have learn so easily otherwise. Um, and I've used those a lot. Like frequently when I always feel like Megatron when I like, because it always starts with Premiere and I'm editing in Premiere and then I have to do something in After Effects and I open After Effects and then I'm like, okay, now I got to do some Photoshop. And once I get the trifecta open and it's like Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, they're all dynamically linked. I just feel like, and the only reason I could do that is because of the certification that I got from that community college. So I would say that, it was just a few classes. It's not like I got a degree or anything, but it was super useful, those classes that I did take. But with that being said, that's like maybe 5% of the whole situation. I would say mostly it's all about just like doing it for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, because, I dropped out of college too. I briefly attended like a community college, where I failed my first photography class because it was just like didn't click right. Now it's funny, that's my life, but it's always been one of those things I've noticed that the speed and urgency at which this like whole world moves, a traditional school just like generally can't keep up with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, like film school right now should probably be teaching you like social theory and like how to make TikToks and things like that. And that's just never going to actually happen. There's too much sort of like prestige, I think, like lined up in that stuff. And so, yeah, man, like it's good to hear that it was all like on the job, because it's just, that's real life, and
man, I mean, how it is. I think I get so far removed from it because I meet so many people who are so far removed from that it becomes, I almost forget, but I remember when that was a pivotal point in life, because I was in the same situation. I was going to that same college. Now I graduated high school and I'm actually going to that college for real. And I did a whole first semester. I was going for business admin. I failed business law 1. So now it's second semester. I pull up in my truck. I go back into that class, and it's a new class, same teacher, same shitty business law 1 that I super hated, like could not function in this class. And so I went back out to my car after that class, and I felt horrible. I mean, like, I have no other way to explain it except for sitting in this class. Like, first of all, you feel like a failure. You look at all these bright-eyed. You already sat through this class once and hated it. Now you have to sit through it again because you hated it so much. And so it's just like, whoa, dude, like super, had no idea what I was doing with myself, super confused. Go out to my truck, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, this isn't working. Because at the time, I'm doing music videos for my friends. I'm shooting commercials for clients that I could find. I'm doing wedding videos as much as I can for brides that I could find. And at the same time, I'm trying to go to school for business admin while I'm running the business. And I just felt like I wasn't good at any of it. I knew I was spreading myself too thin. And I knew ultimately I either need to like seriously do school, just focus on school, or I need to like take all that energy that I'm putting into trying to keep up with school into my business. And if I do my business, I have to pick one of those 3 too. I can't be doing commercials, wedding videos, and music videos, or I'll never be great at all. And that's how I felt. I was like, I want to get great at something. I want to be great at something. I need to pick something. So I knew it was pretty easy for me personally to say, I am not going to school. I am done with that. Like, but it was still scary. Both my sisters graduate, like, have degrees, and like it just felt I was the first one in the family to like not do this like school thing, and so I felt like I had to have like a damn good reason to.
What was that impact like on your sort of like personal and family life? Was that like tough on the folks and stuff like that, or were they pretty understanding?
I would say, they were slightly concerned or skeptical perhaps, but for the most part it was just like, at this point I already had my business going, so they could kind of see. It's not like I was just showing potential to maybe do something. I was already doing something. I was like creating videos. I had contracts. I had clients. I had an office space. Like we had stuff going on already. So it was kind of like if you guys don't need it in your industry, like they didn't really understand it at all. So they were just kind of like, trusted me, but at the same time was like, it didn't. I didn't. I didn't feel the full belief just yet. It was like, yeah, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough too because it's mentioning the whole like everything's new. I think my family had a similar kind of adverse reaction because they were like, "What do you mean you're gonna go make videos for a living?" Especially whenever I was like, "I'm gonna move to New York and I'm just gonna figure it out," and they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like there was so much of that. But in the long run, now it's like I think it's actually developed us into having a better relationship because they're like, "Oh, like we saw how insanely hard you worked because you didn't have the college backing or anything like that. Like you really have to figure things out." So that's cool.
For sure. And, dude, we both worked at Vayner. We both worked for Gary. Like, we know, the message he says is very true about, like, you can't live for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to do what you do. And then honestly, it's made my relationship with my family so much better because it's very authentic. It's not me trying to, like, appease them in these strange ways. It's like, I'm living my life. I'm able to connect with y'all very authentically and have a great relationship. And, we don't pressure each other into like what we think we should be doing,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned kind of like the three categories of work and music videos being one of them. You also mentioned Fayetteville. And for anyone who's listening to this podcast and not watching it, you got the Dreamville t-shirt on. So talk to me about the impact of Fayetteville and being around kind of the hip hop world that is centered there and how that influenced the work you were doing.
Man, I mean, hugely. Coming out to LA, and still to this day, I've lived out here for a very long time. I won't stop talking about Fayetteville. Like it is, it bred me.
Dude, when I interviewed you to come on at Vayner, I mean, I remember you saying that you were like, I want to like build something in LA and take it back to Fayetteville.
Yeah, and that's
like I remember that
definitely
being like that's sick. Like
hell yeah,
that
appreciate
bringing
you,
it
man.
home kind of thing.
Thank you. That's what I've been able to do so far, and it's been such a beautiful, fulfilling process. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface on what that actually looks like. But nonetheless, like dude, I'm in high school. One of the first music videos I'm shooting is like for my friend because I have a bunch of friends that are rappers in this school, and that's a blessing to go to a school where there's talent, where there's people making music that are also your friends that you can use your camera and ask. Like, I don't know if we even asked anybody. I think we just like stayed after school and started shooting in the library and then shot some scenes in the hallway and then out in the front. So like being able to just get creative with my friends like at that capacity really was so big. And then branching out of high school, getting into the local Fayetteville scene, there's tons of artists at this time. As soon as I'm getting into the game, J. Cole is signed. He's shooting. He just released a video at that time. Who that? Where he's walking through downtown Fayetteville. He signed to Jay-Z. It has millions of views. Everyone's talking about the Ville all of a sudden. This small town of 200,000 something people that like no one knows about. Now they know about us. But it just showed us that even if you're in the country of North Carolina with like damn near no resources and you feel completely disconnected from all the other culture in America, it's like, wow, there's like someone made it from our little village. Like what? So that blew my mind and made me realize that we could do stuff on levels that I had never thought of before. So yeah, dude, and I think the whole city felt that. The whole city was like, oh, we're all sleeping on ourselves. So everyone's going hard trying to like find their best self. And I was just able to be a part of that, where I'm out there shooting videos for all these different people in Fayetteville with no resources, literally just a T2i and like vibes. So dude, I mean, I have video like hanging out the back of a truck with a jib crane, like having my friend drive the truck, getting like shots of people riding ATVs through the street, like just whatever we could come up with. That, this is before permits and before I knew that producing and directing and editing were three entirely separate jobs. This was when it's just like, yo, we're making videos. I'm gonna make your video. I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna do everything. Like, so yeah, man. I mean, that definitely got me going. It gave me the momentum. It gave me the confidence. It gave me, dude, those skills of just meeting people, being able to stay focused on a vision, communicate about a vision. They have ideas. You have ideas. Those ideas go to war sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You figure out which the best one. all of that process of working with clients, like now working with much bigger artists in the industry and whatnot, it always feels like I learned the principles in Fayetteville. And so like, yeah, so I got a lot of love for the hometown, man. That was like the incubator for
Yeah.
everything I got going on now.
I love that, man. I think I like hearing those sort of early day stories and uh, the going from like doing every single job on a set, like you're coming up with concepts and producing and directing, and you're filming, and then you're the person like importing the footage to start hacking away at it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's kind of this big difference between an editor at that stage or creative, because you're really making those creative decisions, versus the level you're at now, which is like there's so many moving parts and so many people involved. And how much do you feel like you're able to make those creative decisions versus taking direction from a team, from an artist, and trying to like deliver your best work in that way?
Mm-hmm. Great question. That's a great question. I mean, ultimately, yes, the process is entirely different. But at the same time, I mean, look, the way I look at it is it's more about collaboration now. When you graduate from being the run and gun one man show, I pull up and do everything. I don't got a team. I don't need a team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's people who stay there for long periods of time. And
Yeah.
if you're having fun doing that and your clients are happy, then that's a beautiful thing. Go at it. Like I've done that. It's fun for a bit. And like and some people don't ever stop doing that. But like I just always would watch the real stuff, like the amazing artistic,
Yeah.
incredible things that could never be made by one person. First of all, like and that's the hard truth. That sounds insulting to the one man show running gunners, but it's like, bro, the most incredible, intricate, detailed, dynamic pieces of art you've ever witnessed weren't just created by one individual fella or gal. It's like, yo, like there is an art. There's a true art to collaboration, and I have fallen more in love with that than proving how much I can do by myself. Like it's cool to be able to shoot well and act and edit and do this and I color and I do this, and it's like cool, but like at some point you may not be super honest with yourself about how good you are at each of these things, because
Yeah.
like the way I see it is it's all about finding that guy that is so sick with the color. He's nasty with the color. You can't touch him on the color. He should be the colorist. Okay, cool. That's one thing. And then like taking all the things, whether it's sound design, the edit, all the different things, and picking the people, assigning the people who are super aligned and super capable in that department, in that specialty department. And that is what the creative process looks like now for me. And when people hire me, whether I am the creative getting popped into a department or I'm the one that's like helping decide who's getting into what section, that is a beautiful, fun process, because it's like a little Megatron. It's like, dang, Babin would smash this edit. Let's get Babin on this edit. And then like this person would be great at shooting it. And then you all create something magical together that none of you would have been able to do by yourself. And now you're all posting that and you teamed up, and it was like a fun, and it's beautiful. Like y'all get to squat up and make stuff together. Like
Yeah.
that's fun. Like why would you
Yeah.
not?
I love that. And it's weird because I think that there's almost this mindset that if you are not the person doing everything, that you're doing something wrong in a weird way. I think especially maybe in like YouTuber world that I really like exist and live in, like you have to be the everything. And it was like pretty recent that and especially I think coming from Vayner, where like you are doing everything, you're doing every single job. I'm just now kind of letting go of that, and I'm being like, you know what, I think that it's smart for me to like bring on a more talented cinematographer than myself to like help me shoot this thing, and then like ultimately we all achieve a lot more. So it's one of those things that I know there's someone listening to this is like, no, I want to do every job, and I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You gotta like, that self-awareness is tough to get to, but it's important.
For sure. And it's a balance. Because like that's why I really enjoyed working at Vayner for the year that I did, because it was all about speed. It was all about quantity. It was all about doing it all yourself and being minimalizing the team and just being super effective.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, that's fun. That's like an addictive, like fun way to live your life. It's like, cool, yeah, we'll just make it happen. And ultimately that same energy is needed even in the bigger, like where more collaborative spaces. I truly think it is a balance, because the people that I see in the big collaborative spaces as well, you're better at picking the best cinematographer when you know how to shoot a little bit. Or if you know a little,
Mm-hmm.
the more you know about editing, the better you're going to be at selecting a good editor. The same thing with like set design, dude. If you're super into designing stuff and you understand all these different theories and you have all this experience, when you go to hire a designer, you're gonna you know what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to be super knowledgeable about every part of the process. I think the danger is in getting addicted to, like, because let's admit it, it'd be super fulfilling if I dropped a video right now that was fire and I'm like, I directed, I produced, I edited, I wrote it. I didn't even call a friend and tell him about it. I just did it all
Yeah.
myself. Like, this just came from all me. Like, no one else gets credit but me. Like, that's like that would be fun. It's like, cool, look at all these things
Yeah.
you can do. That's really neat. I think there's some people that kind of have that vibe and are great with it, but ultimately to be sustainable, and also, dude, we're a social creature, man. Like, this stuff gets lonely.
Yeah.
I don't want to create alone, man. I want to hop on a creative call with my buddies and chop the idea and
Yeah.
catch up on a personal tip too. Like, I think it's just all about how you want to approach it. There's no right or wrong in this stuff, but I can tell you that it can get lonely. So why not find creatives that you really vibe with and make art with them and build your businesses together and watch your friends glow up and grow up, and like you can take tabs from their book and they learn a lesson that you didn't have to learn, and now like it's big. It's a collaborative art, man. It's a team sport. And trying to be out here being the one man on your team, it's like, to me, it just feels a little ego driven. And so that's
Yeah.
where I kind
Yeah.
of back off, because, dude, that's another thing. In working in this industry, especially in music videos and whatnot, like, bro, there's not the ego stuff, man. That's not going to get you far behind the scenes, because the whole point
Mm-hmm.
of behind the scenes is you don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you got, like, man, it's not about like trying to get your name on it or trying to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, like,
Yeah.
link
Yeah.
up with these people, be appreciative you're here, give your best, do your best, and go hard and just make what you can and have fun doing it. And like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's real, man. Like, and I think like the thing you just said there at the end, like really, really resonates. Everyone like fighting to get their name on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had a handful of projects recently where, I've like brought people on to like help shoot a video, whether it's going to live on my YouTube or for a client or something. And they're like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to make a vlog out of it too. And I'm like, well, that's just going to distract you from like the thing we're here to do. And so I think, becoming okay with the grunt work and just like grinding and pursuing things for the love of the art, as opposed to only like getting your name on it and getting your like 15 minutes of fame is really, really important. But we've talked a lot about kind of like the early stages, the process. My guy, you've worked on some massive projects. The other day, whenever you posted the Timeline Tuesday from the Peaches video, that was like the thing that inspired me. I was like, we should do a super deep dive editing episode. And right before we hopped on, I went and like checked. I just wanted to get like one video statistic, and I think Peaches is at like 50 million views right now or something like that. First off, what does it feel like to have these pieces of work you're putting out just absolutely, I mean, like, viral is not even a good word for it. We're talking about like culturally viral, like everyone is like singing the song and has seen the video, and your hands were like there cutting it all up. What's that feel like?
It's a blessing, man. I'm super appreciative for it. It truly is a blessing, and I've made so many videos that no one will ever see. So many videos that are sitting in the dark corners of YouTube. And so to spend years creating things for myself or for the person that I'm creating with, or for their like 3 fans, and to be, that's all I wanted, was to at that time was like, wow, like, you look up to the people who are doing it in the bigger way, and the socially, like, everyone can see them, like, wow, that's crazy. And then so yeah, dude, ultimately it's amazing. I would say the best part of it is like watching reaction videos because anytime I finish an edit, I go to YouTube and in the first hour or two, the early movers are there. They made a reaction video and I get to see how humans are reacting because I'm in the lab all day. I'm here at the
Yeah.
desk going in, um, and so being able to see when I put that shot there for this purpose and their face lights up and they go, whoa, or oh, like, and I'm like, it resonated. It hit them. They got it. They
Yeah.
got it. And it's really crazy how sometimes these reaction video people dive deep and understand the concept you were trying to, like, it's just amazing. So that's the best part about it, just being frank. Other than that, it's super surreal because you go about your life and you go to the coffee shop or you go and the song's just playing everywhere and you're just thinking in the back of your head, like, I've been listening to this song for 2 months. And it like just dropped. You get in the car, it's like Power 106, and they're playing like all the stuff you just did, and it's like, so it's cool, it's neat. I'm just appreciative for it, man. It truly
Yeah.
is a blessing.
I imagine like I can picture, there's someone who was like probably an aspiring editor, like living in a small town similar to yourself, and all of a sudden now you're working on these like A-list musicians videos and stuff. Talk to me about what the process is like, how you get brought into a project, how you even position yourself in a place where people know that you're a go-to guy for something of this scale.
I would say ultimately study the game. Just study the game. Watch 10 music videos, do deep dives on the crew, understand who's doing what. It's actually a small industry. There's a couple hundred people out here doing this that like it's a small industry. So just start to notice the names that pop up over and over. Who are the power players? Who are the people that have been in this game? I would recommend studying the game from a logistical standpoint like that. Constantly staying creatively sharp as far as studying the art of the situation, watching videos that inspire you. Why does it inspire you? Who's your favorite director? Why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like really getting into the art of it as well
Yeah.
as like kind of the business of it as well. Because like, dude, I had no connections in this stuff, man. I had zero. I was literally out there in the Ville working with local businesses. And it was that day in the parking lot that I was talking about earlier where I was like, I got to focus on something. And I decided to pick music videos because it was my favorite. Like the thought came in my head, well, pick the thing you love to do the most. Wedding videos are fun. Commercials are all right. But like music videos are like fun, right? So picking that and deciding to focus on it, studying the directors that I loved. I realized early, like Colin Tilley made my favorite work. I just noticed. I watched all these videos and I watched like Look at Me Now with Chris Brown and Busta Rhymes, and I've never seen just a work of art like that. It was just so like frenetic and just amazing. So and I kept seeing his name, so I'm like, yo, this guy's like, who is this guy? He's only a few years older than me. He's making music videos, but he's doing it in this way that I really respect, right? So this all goes into like how you position yourself because, dude, you got to be aware of who's doing what, of like what's going on around you. There's a whole world. There's tons of music videos being made right now, and you're this far away from like hopping on as a PA, whatever. Because that's exactly what I did. I follow this. I'm like, okay, this Colin Tilley guy, he's making amazing projects. Cool. Follow Twitter, find his Facebook. Start finding all the like the people he's friends with that are producers. Like I'm creeping, I'm stalking, I'm like going through friend lists, like finding that she edits, this they're producing. Like I'm stalking, adding all these people, trying to just get into the mix online. One day he tweets looking for interns on a film. Boop, I'm in there immediately. Like, yo, let me intern. That's another thing. That's the same way I got the job at Vayner, and that's the same way I got to where I am today. Is cold emails, just hi, like I want to help. Like here's some things I've done. Like here's some work. You gotta if you've been going hard and you've been doing stuff, and these people have been inspiring you, and you've been taking those lessons and applying it to your work, then you can take that work and show them, and they're gonna see the principles there. That's exactly what I did, and anyone can do that. And then. Essentially, for me, that's exactly what it looked like. I came out, I interned for 10 days on a short film for Colin. And while I was there, I met Vinny Hobbs, who is a professional editor in the industry, my OG, the guy that like really put me on and showed me the game and helped me enter from being like the local country video guy to like you could work on industry stuff, you know? Like he really helped me with that transition. A lot of it, you just gotta take yourself super seriously, man. You gotta take yourself seriously. You gotta respect that this is an art. This isn't just like a pipe dream. This isn't, you can't look at it the way your parents might look at it. You gotta look at it the way the people on set look at it. This is an art, man. We're serious about this shit. Like we love this shit.
Yeah.
This is our entire life. So like, let's get serious, let's get focused, and let's have a lot of fun, and let's make something amazing. For me, it was like putting myself out there, meeting people. You know, I'm on set, I'm PA, and I'm taking trash out, dude. Like, it's like day 7, I'm taking trash out. I see a guy on a computer, he has Premiere open. What? Hell yeah, dude, what's up, bro? Like, I see you're in Premiere, I use Premiere too. Cool, like, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm the editor for the whole project. Oh, you're like on set? Wait, you edit? Like, Colin doesn't edit his own stuff? Like, no, I edit all of Colin's videos. What? Like, my mind's being blown because I'm like, there's editors? You just edit, right? Point is, dude, it's just that. It's just being open, meeting people, you know, and being down to do the work, man. I made that relationship, and he started providing me opportunities to kind of do some minor touch-up edits on video. So he would send me like Migos Handsome and Wealthy video and be like, hey, sauce this up. So I would add some sparks, like basically add VFX enhancements and send it back. He'd be super happy. Now I just did that. I'm starting to show like on my Instagram and to my friends like, hey, I just worked on this. And now their brains are going like, oh shit, like Mark's working on, like he just went from like our friend in the hallway to like now he's working on Amigos video. Like that's, so it creates this perception of elevation. But in reality, it's just like you're meeting different people. You're meeting the right people that are in the right places based off of simply, truly where you have decided to take yourself because you're a fan of that style of creation. If it was a different director, I would have met that person's editor. But it's just a matter of like, you know, what inspires you? What's calling you? Really go there. There's a good chance that the people that inspire you, if you gave them the opportunity to meet you and to provide your best self, they might be inspired by you. They might want to work with you.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's the vibe.
Tell me a little bit more like tactile. We can use like, let's use the Peaches video as an example. What that timeline looks like in terms of like, at what point do you get brought into the mix? Are you on set? Are you not on set? At what point are you like getting drives with footage? What is like your notes you're going off of? Like, take me like start to finish on a project of that scale.
For sure. So, you know, this is gonna branch a little out of just editing and into some other things because I just do some other things. So, there was a whole time in my career though that I did a lot of just editing. So people would go shoot stuff. People would hit me up. Hey, Mark, we got this video. We're shooting this Thursday. We can have the footage to you on Friday. We need the cut by Wednesday. We need the lock by Friday, and we need you know. And it's just you're just the post guy. Great. I did that for a long time. That's a fun thing to do. That's like the actual just editing world, right? But in this case, I work at Boy in the Castle. So that is the production company behind Peaches and a lot of these other music videos that we do. So I'm blessed to be able to edit with them, but also I post-produce as well. So, and I kind of help assist Colin with whatever he needs. So I'm helping in pre-production. I'm helping on set. I'm there helping move things around and communicate between the team. It's funny, like actually I would tuck away on the set of Peaches to go do like some VFX work real quick on the Hold On video that was about to release. Because we were delivering Hold On the day we were shooting Peaches. So it was just like, so there's a lot of multitasking involved. But essentially, you know, we're there on set, we shoot Peaches, that goes great. I go home with those drives. Again, this is kind of outside of the typical range of what an editor may do, but I work at the production company, so like we're a family where I'm involved in things that an editor wouldn't typically be involved in. But I'm taking these drives, you know, they're coming from our DIT, they're all they have transcodes created and everything. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm either going to hire an assistant editor to prep this footage for me, which means syncing it up, you know, maybe putting a rough assembly down, but essentially organizing, ingesting all this footage, right? Now, in this case, for mostly of the reason is I had the time today and I wanted to, I just AE'd it myself. So I took all this footage and start processing it, start doing the AE job myself. So I'm going through, I'm syncing up all the performance takes. I literally went through and watched every single take that we had from front to back. And this is a huge thing for editors. Like, watch all your footage. If you're an editor, you should watch all your footage. You should watch every frame of it. I think watching all the footage is essential. I've had some people try to talk me against it in the past. Like, I have to watch all the footage if I'm going to edit this piece, right? So that's a cheat code. That's a cheat code, because when you're an editor, it sounds like, God, that's gonna be ridiculous, dude. You can press the L button and do a quick. You can fast forward it a little bit, but like, know what you're working with. Know, if you give the time to sit back, dude, maybe play some music, maybe listen to an audiobook, but watch every frame, and the frames will speak to you. It's like, yo, that was fire. And then what I do on a performance video like Peaches is I'm tapping the M marker button. I'm watching it, and I'm like, anytime I just feel a hit of dopamine, M. Like, if I'm like, oh, the frame there was perfect, the way they were all just staggered like that, ooh, oh, the way Bieber just looked at the camera, ooh, like, oh, that would be a sick transition, like, oh, I like the way he said that, like, just anything that's like, I like that could make the cut. I'm just tapping that marker, and then, I do that for 3 minutes, and the song's over, and there were 285 layers for Peaches of performance selects. So, I would turn that layer off, go to the next one, do the same thing again. And, I do that 5 times before I start feeling like, ooh, okay, then stretch for a second. And now I'm going to start fast forward. And so now I'm pressing L and I'm watching them a little faster. So it kind of increases the intensity of the watching, and you're like a little faster with the M's. But dude, you just do that. You get into that flow and you do that. And now, boom, I have 285 layers of markered up footage. And most of those were stacks, because the chorus repeats like 7 times, I believe. So so I actually only had to do it for a certain amount of layers, and then would take that, copy, duplicate up, right? So I have the choruses all stacked on top of each other, so I could use the very best version of him saying that chorus wherever I wanted to. And I didn't have to do the marker select thing again, because I did that first before I copy and pasted. So that was a cheat code. So nonetheless, like, boom, now I know all my selects. And in a situation like this one, we shot the 3 artists in all these different setups, and sometimes we know exactly where things are gonna go, like, the video can kind of only look this way. We can shape it a little bit in different directions, and we can find the flow and whatnot, but sometimes you just have more freedom. Peaches was a video where there was a lot of freedom, as far as we could kind of put things wherever we felt they should go. So I'll do a first cut. I'll present that to typically Vinny, like who's at VH Post, Vinny Hobbs, the guy that I met on the set that day. I'll show him first, and he'll kind of give me some initial feedback. I take that to Colin. Like, now I'm showing Colin, and Colin gives me his feedback, and then I incorporate his, and we kind of go back and forth like that for a few times. And then when we get it into a good place that we all feel confident about, now we're taking that, we're sending that to Bieber. And then Bieber is responding with feedback. And then I'm incorporating his feedback. And then now that he's taken us in this direction, we're realizing that we need to do these things to, like, make it make sense and to make it all flow right. So now it's a collaborative creative process, and it's just constantly revising and finding those best performance moments and figuring out what's going to live where, and then how to make it make sense, how to make it flow, make it feel like it has compartments, make it feel like it needs to feel right. And so, it's very much so a process like that. And once you get the cut locked, then you go into color, you go into VFX, and then you do the online edit. So you get everything back and you piece it all back together. And that's kind of what that looks like.
Was like production in one day? Like, you filmed one day? Or was that one day? And then what would you say, like, what's the amount of time you have to cut before it starts going out to, like, color and things like that?
So every project's different. Essentially, whenever we do a contract with a client, they'll typically have a due date that they need the video. So I will, as the post producer, I'll reverse engineer a schedule based on that due date. So if we're shooting for a simple example, if you have a month, right, and you're shooting on the 1st, so you're going to have the footage the night of the 1st, and the video's due on like the 25th, then I'll look at that calendar and essentially say, okay, well, if the video is due on the 25th, then we need to be onlining it on the 24th for delivery, which means we need all final VFX by the 23rd. And depending on how much VFX is in that video, maybe they need a week. So we need to start VFX on the 20th, which means color needs to happen on the 19th, which means that we need to be prepped for color the morning of the 19th or the 18th. So now I'm looking like from the 1st to the 18th gives us some edit time. So that's actually hella time. That's like a long schedule right there. But the point is, you'd be able to, you essentially reverse engineer it like that. Then, and you might need to shorten that all so that you're not coloring and doing VFX on the final days right before delivery. You might want to give yourself more padding on the back end, right? But the point is like, typically you're going to have a few days to get your first cut. I don't really hear of it going past a week for a first cut. I've had situations where I get footage, like on the Lil Pump Butterfly Doors video, that was a 2-day edit and first cut lock. So that was all it was. It was literally like dive in for a day. And then I had a second day where the director came and sat with me and just gave me feedback real time. And we had so much fun just like coming up with funny ideas and just going at it. And then we send that and it's approved and boom, 2 days, Not every project's like that. Some, it takes a week and a half, 2 weeks to get a cut lock, a picture lock before you're able to move on into the next parts of the process. So it's just about being adaptable. It's not about like, how long should it take? I think it's really important. It's really important. And I'll say this to creative leaders and I'll say this to, creative professionals who are being led. It's just important to, have a sense of creative respect amongst your team to where like, don't rush the artist, like don't rush the director, don't rush the editor. Like it's one thing, we do need to be held accountable and we need to get stuff done. But I super appreciate when the people I work with, and I'm blessed to be on a good team like this, to where it's like, bro, if we said we're going to have this first internal cut on Saturday and Saturday comes and I'm still feeling it out and I'm still in the flow with it, it's not about like, oh, bro, you said, oh, what the hell, dude? It's like literally the responses I get just make a tear come from my eye because so many people would be like that. Like, what the fuck, dude? And it's like the people that make the best art hit me up like, hey, bro, don't stress it at all. Don't even think about it, bro. Don't even think about the timeline. Just stay in that flow, bro. Just stay in your flow. Whatever you need to stay in the flow, let me know. If you need to call or ask any creative questions, just like stay in that flow, bro. Like as long as I am tapped into it, because you want to be editing from a place of chiseling a work of art. You want to find the message. You want to tell the story. You want to milk this footage to be the best it can be. And you can't do that when you're in producer mind of like, oh, it's 2. I got to get this out by 3. Like, let me just rush through this. Like, nah, man, get out of here with that. Like, so, it's about having enough responsibility and effectiveness to be able to control yourself, stay focused, stay in your zone, but like don't be tyrannical about it, even to yourself or to other people. Like be free flowing and understand that the vibe and the energy, approaching it with a positive, relaxed, focused on the story mind state and not focused on getting it done or getting it off your computer so you can do the other 7 projects you've overbooked for yourself or whatever you have going on. It's like, you just want to stay in a good place with it. And that's a major key to this shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of perfect because that circles us back around to, what you were saying in the beginning is that you always want to keep this about having fun. And it's something like a couple episodes ago, I was having a conversation with a photographer out here and it's, every job can become a job, even, whenever we're as blessed as we are to like be creatives and stuff, we can have those hard days and like you get stressed and there's deadlines and like all that shit you have to work through. But if you don't like keep yourself locked into the fact that you get to have fun for a living and just like make cool shit, like we're not like the worst day as a creative I feel like would be better than our best day as lawyers because that's just not how we're functioning. And so like retaining that like that mindset is so important. I'm curious at this point in your life, as we kind of wrap this thing up, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to direct? Do you want to? Are you just like happy in the zone you're in now? How do you see the future of your career unfolding, with how crazy things have gotten up to this point?
So yeah, dude, for me, basically, look, I'm one of like this. The way I introduced my whole self, as far as, dude, I just started doing this for fun and found out I could make a living doing it. That's very much so how I continue to live, because it's mostly for me, like, you know, I feel like I would rather continue to be I'd rather continue to work on myself and be an adaptable, creative, friendly, positive individual that can be thrown into any situation, or presented with any situation, and make something out of it, and know that essentially I am the thing that is creating structure out of chaos, than to have some crystalline idea of the future structure that will be, because you know how it is, dude, we make plans and it doesn't, and things
Yeah.
change. But it is also important to make plans. So like the plans that I do have, essentially, first of all, I'm super happy with where I'm at. Like I never expected to be here. This is amazing. Like, I'm happy with this for sure. Um, but it's all about growing, man. So I'm literally just, I treat everything like college. And that was another thing. Like since I dropped out of college, it's like, well, then I'm
Yeah.
always going to be learning. So I literally look at it like, dude, I get paid to learn. I get paid to experiment. I get paid to practice. And I want to continue to do that. And essentially, the roles of all the things, directing, producing, this or that, they really just don't mean much to me. Like if I'm creating, I'm
Yeah.
creating. So, when I'm editing, like I feel like I'm making a video. I feel like I'm creating, and I'm currently going. I'm directing some projects as well. Um, and that's fun too. And I don't necessarily put too much weight on any situation, because I want to be, like, I think of, like, I look at someone like Childish Gambino and I get super inspired, because he
Yeah.
acts, he writes, he sings, he does everything. He does everything. And that's how I like to look at myself, is like, I'm not trying to, like, okay, let me be like edit man and just edit. I'll be the best editor. It's like, dude, I want to do, like, sometimes you're in the lab too much, bro, and you gotta, like,
Yeah.
get out and do things, other stuff, man. I need balance,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So where
yeah.
I look at taking things is essentially, I want to continue to bring jobs to North Carolina. I've been very blessed to be able to do that in the past few years. Like all of my friends that are creatives, I've been able to bring them opportunities that I've been tapped into, whether it's having my friends in Fayetteville edit the Justin Bieber behind the scenes, or, just all kinds of things like that. That's a blessing. So I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose there right now. I'm a lot about staying in the present, like, because we can get too wrapped up in the future. But ultimately, the big plan, the big giant goal that might take 15, 20 years, and I'm super cool with that, is I want to build a creative cabin, compound, campus, whatever you want to call it. But just imagine a cabin in the woods. I'm like, Ayo, Babin, slide through to the bonfire cabin. You're going to pull up, and there's woods, and there's a trail. And you go down this trail, and it opens up. There's a lake and a cabin. And, like, there's ATVs and kayaks, and it looks like a recreational lounge facility center. You're like, what is this? And you go in, and it's like, dude, there's co-working space, there's music recording space, there's video studios. It's a place where you can come and work and run your creative business. But also you can tap out, go on a walk in nature, go fishing in the lake, go hit the jet ski, like go play in the garden, like, go sit by the fire pit and, like, enjoy your life. So I want to create, like, a living, working space for Carolina creatives, because we don't have that, and I want to be able to bring the jobs that will sustain something like that, and have them executed there at the facility. So basically, build a place where I can run my creative business in the future, and then other people can come on some WeWork type shit, come vibe out with me, Shangri-La vibes. Let's make stuff right here in Carolina. That's like
Yeah.
that's my, like, big giant goal.
Damn. That's super inspiring, man. Yo, I'm really, really stoked we made this happen. Glad you came on. I think we did a good balance. Like I made you talk technical. I wanted to know about the process, and you definitely dropped a bunch of inspiration and motivation for so many creatives that I'm sure are watching. And I know, like, for me, definitely taking away that constant reminder that, like, we're all just having fun. This is what we do for a living. Let's make good art and stay focused on that art and not get too wrapped up in the all the other garbage that can come along with that, you know?
For sure. Hey, and you know what? For the super type A type person that listened to this whole episode and was like, what? I didn't learn anything about editing. Bro, organize your stuff. Just be super organized. Just keep making stuff. You'll get better. Keep watching stuff. Stay inspired. If you're organized and you're making stuff, you're in the right. You're doing what you need to be doing. Other than that, you just need to be patient and put yourself out there. That's like the actual tips. But for the most part, man, it's bigger. You know, we got to remember not to put ourselves into boxes. You know, like Babin is this I look at you as like, wow, dude, you've done all this YouTube stuff and all the like. I look at all the stuff you've done, and it's easy to put you in that box. But it's like, bro, dude, you're a human, man. You need walks too, man. You need to stay hydrated too, bro. We're all humans, man. So no matter who you're working with, even with yourself, like treat yourself with human respect, man. Like take care of yourself. Get away from the computer. Get you a standing desk so you don't have to sit all day as an editor. Y'all hit me up, man. If y'all want direct tips, well, we can talk on the gram or something. But
yeah. I mean, let them know where, if people want to work with you or connect with you, where's the best place to do it?
For sure. At Mark Mayr on Instagram. That's MarkMayr. That is like my main social network, so I'm on there. You can definitely reach out. Happy to answer questions. Yeah, man, that's the best way. Dude, Babin, thank you so much, bro. I mean, thank you for having me on this. Always looked up to you. You've been super fun. It's been super fun to watch your journey, especially being that we're so similar. We worked at the same company. We do a lot of the same stuff. I'm sure we have more in common than we were even aware of. So, dude, thank you so much for having me on this, bro. What you're doing right now, trying to create this kind of content for people is super, super useful. I consume plenty of content like this from all kinds of people. So it's an honor to be involved in yours, man. So thank you so much.